Hi guys, today we're going to be going over the area of a circle. As you can see here, I already have the formula written down for you. But before we go ahead and apply the formula, I'm going to show you some quick logical reasoning as to why this works. Now, if you see the circle on the left, you can tell that I went ahead and put the white dot, which represents the center. Now, one way to approximate the area of a circle is if I go ahead and I draw a square here. So I drew a square, right? So how many squares can I fit inside the circle? Or how many squares can I use to approximate it? So I have 2, and then I have 3, right? Now, if you notice, I can go ahead and use another square to get an approximation, but if I go ahead and draw the last square, I'm gonna have an overestimate. Why? Because I have these parts that I'm also taking, so I'm also getting as my area of the square, but it's not part of the circle, right? So what is the area of each one of those squares? Well, the side, this is R, right? Why? Because it goes from the center of the circle to the outskirts of a circle. So that is going to be R. Now, what should this be? So what is this length? If you said R, you are correct. It is also R because it, by the same definition, it goes from the center to a point on the circle. So therefore, the area of a square, if you remember, is the base times the height. So this is going to be R times R. So R times R is equal to R squared, right? So the area of each one of these squares is R squared. This one's R squared, this one's R squared, and this one's R squared, right? And the last one would be R squared as well. Now, an approximation for this circle would be 4R squared, but this is too big, right? So we're using too many squares. So a better approximation would be to go ahead and erase the the last square, and think about the following. I can use the extra that I have here and here to go ahead and make up this piece, right? So I can use it to fill up this. And it is actually, once you use a computer or some sort of program that will allow you to calculate it at that small interval, you will see that it is actually the case. So the area of a circle is approximately 3.14 squares, where each square has a side length of R. So around 3, a little bit more than 3 squares is the area of a circle. I hope this makes sense. And why do we arrive at this number? Because pi is approximately 3.14. So that's why we use pi. All right. So now let's go over some quick examples. So here, now similar to our last lesson where we covered circumference, we are going to divide our lesson into 2 different parts. The first part is going to be when they ask you to find the area in terms of pi, and then the second part is going to be when they ask you to find the area to the nearest tenth. So for number 1, the radius of a circle is 5 centimeters. So if I draw a circle here, and this is my center, then this is going to be 5, right? The area is equal to pi R squared, where R is equal to what? R is equal to 5. So it's going to be A is equal to pi, and then I'm going to put the 5 in parentheses, and this is going to be squared. So this is going to be A is equal to pi, 5 squared. Well, 5 squared, remember, means 5 times 5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. So this is 25 times pi. So my area, because when we have this notation, we want our number to be in front, our area is 25 pi. So okay, let's go over the second example. So again, we're going to have a circle. That doesn't look too good. That's a little bit better. So the diameter of the circle is 12 centimeters. So if this is the center of the circle, is this 12? If you answer yes, that is not correct. If you notice, this question is telling me that the diameter is 12, not the radius. So what that means is that the diameter, if you remember, it's from one endpoint to another endpoint, and it passed through the center of the circle. So this whole thing is 12. But in our formula, we have A is equal to pi r squared. We need r, we don't need d. So far we have d is equal to 12, but we need to find r. So what is r based on the fact that the diameter is 12? Well, that means that my r has to be 6, right? Because the diameter is twice the radius. So it has twice the length. In a way, it has 2 radii in its distance. So r has to be 12 divided by 2. So r is equal to 6. Okay, so now we use 6 as our number. So it's going to be pi 6 squared. So area is equal to, now here is a mistake that I see often. A lot of students write pi 12 when they get 6 squared. Is this correct? No, right? Because squared means 6 times 6. So 6 times 6, that's what square means. So in reality, the answer is pi 36. Or if you have a calculator, you can just put 6 squared the way that we have it here, and you should get 36 as well. And now you move it to the left because we leave it in terms of pi. So our answer is 36 pi. Now, if you're using a program like Delta Math or Khan Academy, let me show you how you would put that inside. So you have this page right here. So notice that this is the same question. The diameter of a circle is 12 meters. Find its area in terms of pi. So we got an answer of 36 pi. So I put 36. And then from here, I use this symbol that I have on the lower left. 36 pi meters squared. And we go ahead and put input. This is correct. So notice that we have the diameter, which is 12, the radius is 6, and then it shows you the steps that you had to do to find it. Another thing that I want to emphasize is that they use meter squares because here, where you have the 6, this is supposed to be 6 meters times 6 meters. So m times m, that gives you meters squared. So the units for the area is going to be square units. So let's go over this one. This one would be centimeters squared. Now let's go over when we go ahead and round to the nearest tenth. So if we're rounding to the nearest tenth, we're essentially going to be doing the same first couple of steps. So the radius in this example is 7. So let me redraw that. So the radius is 7. So now find the area. So we always start by writing our formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. So area is equal to, now in this case they gave us the radius already. We're not given the diameter. We're given the radius straight away. So all you have to do is substitute it in. So it's going to be 7 squared. Remember, 7 squared means 7 times 7. So I'm going to write it, or if you put it in the calculator, it's going to give you the answer straight away, which is 49 pi. Now, because they wanted it to the nearest tenth, that means that we have to use our pi from our calculator. So I have a calculator here. I'm going to turn it on, and we're going to use 49 times, I'm going to use my second so that I can get my pi. And this is going to give us our answer. So 153.93. So area is equal to 153.93. and they want it rounded to the nearest tenth, and because the nearest tenth would be this place, I look at the number afterwards, that's a 3. So because it's 5, it's less than 5, this is going to become 153.9. It's going to stay there. Now in question number 2, we have the diameter of a circle is 6 centimeters. If this is the center of my circle, then the diameter would look something like this. So this is my diameter, and that is 6 centimeters. D is equal to 6. Therefore, my R is equal to 6 divided by 2, because remember, the radius is half of the diameter. So R is equal to 3. Now, if you're given the radius, and let's say, for example, they don't ask you for the area and they ask you for the diameter, then because the radius is 3, then that means that the diameter has to be 6, because the diameter is twice the radius. But in this question, they ask us for the area. So let's go ahead and write our equation for the area, which is going to be pi r squared. Area is equal to pi. My r is 3. So it's going to be 3 squared. Now, pi is equal to 6. Is that true? No, it's not, because 3 squared is 9, right? Because 3 times 3 is 9. So let me actually go ahead and write that step as well. 3 times 3, so area is equal to pi 9. Area is equal to 9 pi. And this is what we have to input into our calculator. So we have 9 times pi, and that's 28.27. So area is a 28.27, and because we're using square units, this is going to be squared or meters squared. So let's go ahead and put this inside our Delta Math so you can see how you would input this type of question. So you have the diameter of a circle is 6 meters, find its area to the nearest tenth. So we have the answer right here, 28.3. 28.3. Now in this case, I do not input pi, although you have it here. You do not input this because you're rounding it to the nearest tenth, and therefore you already calculated it in your procedures once you use the calculator. So let's check our answer, and this is correct. And that will be it for today. One thing that I want to go ahead and emphasize is that once you have your questions, you're always going to be able to go to the top right of your Delta Math, and if you need help, there should be a button that says show example. That's it for today. Bye guys.